Well, hello there, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're safe and well. In this video, I'm going to be doing a comprehensive, no holds barred review of the DNT ThermNight 225 thermal night vision scope. Well, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Let's get on with it then. Roll the titles. A few weeks ago now, I was contacted by DNT Optics to see if I'd be interested in taking a close look and doing a review of their thermal and night vision scope, the ThermNight. Now, I've seen this briefly before back at the British Shooting Show in February 2024, but didn't really get a chance to have a good look at it. So I thought, out of interest, yeah, why not give it a go, see what it's like. So they sent me one in the post then, and it's on loan, so I have to send it back, unfortunately, when I've finished reviewing it, which is a shame. But there you go. Before we have a closer look at it, there's this. I really hadn't intended doing an unboxing video for this product, and I guess this isn't an unboxing video, but they say first impressions are important. And I was so impressed with the first impressions with this that I thought I would make a quick video to show you. So this is the box that came inside a normal packaging cardboard box then. So you've got a graphic of the scope on the side. And first off, the flap comes up. The flap is attached by magnets. So there's, that closes with magnets, which is pretty impressive. And then you open it up and you're confronted then with this sight. You've got the mandatory lens cleaning cloth, which you always get with a new scope. And then you've got the manual here that is actually inset into this top layer that's got velvet on it. So this is the manual. I haven't had a chance to go through this in detail. I've just had a cursory flick through, but it seems all very clear and well laid out, easy to understand. There is a lot to go through, so I'll need to study that a bit. And then you take this inset foam and velvet layer off, and then you've got the products itself. So you've got the scope, you've got an eyepiece, and you've got the box with the mount. And I was just really impressed. I mean, basically this oozes quality. It's not very often that you see packaging for products this impressive. So it puts you in the right frame of mind for this thing right from the off. So anyway, I thought I'd just show you that because it's not something that you come across every day. Now, I appreciate this product's been out a while, so I'm a bit late to the party with a review on this. And with that in mind, I'm going to do my best to highlight features and bits and pieces that I haven't seen mentioned by anybody else, or things that haven't been covered in any detail. So let's start by sticking it on the whirly thing and having a closer look, shall we? Let's first have a quick look at the external features then. I've already attached the mount, as you can see there. There are 4 screws for the mount, 6 holes, so you can actually put the mount further forward or further back depending on how you want it to go on your rifle. You can see there that they've included the torque settings for the screws, and you can see that it's a 20 MOA mount rather than a 0 MOA mount. It's basically, think of it in the simplest terms as 4 tubes joined together, and what I'll do is I'll review it on that basis because it keeps things simple. So the first tube that we've got then is this one here, and that's the infrared light. As you can see, this has got the 850 nanometer capsule. You can buy an alternative. This is the standard fit. You can buy an alternative at 940 nanometer. It doesn't come with a battery, so you have to put your own battery in, but it's a standard. Let me take this out. Let me show you how the battery pops out, and it's a standard, what is it, 18650. It's a standard 18650 battery, and you need the flat top one to work in this. So I'm told that if it's got the button positive on there, that won't screw up. So that's the infrared. Then the next cylinder up with this button on the back is the laser rangefinder, and then on the top here with the button panel at the back, we have the day and night vision scope with its focus ring at the top, and then the main part of the body, the big fat bit in the middle with the scope cap on, is the thermal scope, and that's got its own focus ring at the front there. And then coming round to the right hand side, we've got a little Picatinny mount on there, which I guess you could use for mounting an external torch, or if you want to power this by external power, then you could attach a battery pack there. We've got the rubber cap here. We open that up, and we've got the USB-C socket there, and that's not for charging the battery. You can't charge the battery when it's inside this unit. That is for connecting up to a computer, because it has internal storage for your video. So there's no removable SD card on other models. You have to actually plug it into a computer to get your videos off. Unless you use the I think you might be able to do it with the external app, but anyway. And then at the back here we've got the eye cup, and then we've got the focus for the diopter. That's to focus in the screen that you look at inside, so that you can, see your reticle and see all your menus and everything. And then this little tiny wheel here, that is the actual magnification wheel for the thermal and the day-night scope. Okay, see, we've got 5 buttons here, multi-use buttons. The main power button at the top. These have different functions depending on what you're doing at the time, and I'll be referring to these as up, down, left and right, just to keep things simple. So first things first then, now we've looked at the external features, let's have a quick look at the menus. We enter the menu by a long press of the up button then, and we start off with screen brightness. There are 5 settings, but you can set the brightness outside of the menu, so you don't need to worry about it here. Next down we've got Wi-Fi setting. You can turn on the Wi-Fi connection so that you can use the external app on your phone. Next down is the zeroing section, and we'll talk about this in detail later, but basically you can set the 0 for both the digital and the thermal cameras or thermal scopes. They're both independent, so they need to be zeroed separately. You've got your zeroing memories here, through from A to E on both the digital and the thermal scope. The colour setting, you can adjust the colour setting of the reticle outside the menu, so you don't need to worry about that. And there are 5 reticle styles. We'll go through them. 4, 3, 2, 1, back to 5. Go back to the menu. Down to the digital thermal toggle. This allows you to switch between digital mode, thermal mode and dual mode. We'll talk about this in more detail when I look at the individual parts of the scope. Next down is the ballistic calculator. You can switch it on, add your settings, and and we've got these aiming methods, holdover and dial in. I'll talk about them more when we talk about the LRF. Next, we've got image enhancement. You've got two modes, natural mode and enhanced mode. Enhanced mode is supposed to be a colour enhanced mode for the night vision scope, so we'll check that out when we look at that part of the scope. Down to page 2 of the menus, there's only 2 pages, and we've got the thermal image settings. You can set the palette for the thermal image scope. You can set those outside of the menu, so you don't need to worry about those. Obviously there you can fiddle around with your contrast, brightness and sharpness for your thermal image to get the best image you want. And you've got hotspot tracking there. Well, it will track the hottest signal that it can detect through the thermal scope. Recoil activated recording, that's not really relevant for air rifles. That's for centre fire, so that it detects the recoil when you take a shot, and it will record 10 seconds of video. I recommend that you keep this switched off. If you switch it on manual mode, what you'll find is if you try and do a recording, it will record for 10 seconds and then the video recorder will switch itself off. So if you leave it off here, then you will be able to record videos longer than 10 seconds. Audio on and off for the video recording. Function settings. IR torch type, there's 2 options. As you can see, we're set to IRV here, which is the VC cell, which is the laser type, which is what's installed in the scope. I'm guessing that if you use your own external IR torch and it's got an LED light in it, then you'd select IRL. Otherwise, just leave it on IRV. Auto power off. Loop recording, I recommend that you leave this switched off. Otherwise, what will happen is that if you're recording video, it will get to whatever level you set and it will then restart another video, so you'll end up with loads of short little bits of video. If you set it to off, then you'll get one continuous video. Picture in picture position, you can position the picture in picture to the left or right or the centre if you prefer that. The gyroscope is for setting the little widgets on the screen for showing you your cant and your elevation, and then you can set your ranging units there between yards and metres for your ballistic calculator. And then finally the system settings. Reticle display, you can turn the reticle off completely. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Screen shifting. Now, because the thermal scope and the digital scope are totally independent, you can use this to line the images up so they overlay each other perfectly. There's more about that in the manual if you need to set that up. Timestamp, that's for deciding whether you want your date and time to show on the screen during your videos. Setting the date and time, setting your language, formatting the internal memory, restoring your default settings. This gives you an indication of your available storage. So if we go in there, you can see that your total storage is about 24 gigabytes of memory for video storage. And then finally on this one, you've got the version, which gives you the firmware version and also the Wi-Fi code, and that's the last setting in the menu. So if we go down from that, go back in the screen. If we go down from that, we're back where we started again. To come out of the menu, just hit the left button. Well, I guess now it's time to have a look through the eyepiece and see how it performs. So here we are in digital daylight mode then, as you can see from the menu. I'll come out of that, and if you look up at the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see we're getting some information there. We're in group A, that's the actual ballistic group, not the zero group, with a minimum magnification, which is 5 times, showing us that the Wi-Fi is on, that we've got the audio recording switched on, and we can see the battery status. So first off, let's check the magnification then. Oh no, I'll tell you what we'll do first. We'll check the range. So I'm just going to hit the LOF button, laser rangefinder button, and you can see that's ranging us at the top of the screen there. It's telling us we're at 41 yards. So this is the view at 5 times minimum magnification at just over 40 yards. So you can see the depth of field is quite limited even at this low magnification. If I start going to magnification there, you see the first setting up is 7.5 times, again 10 times, 12.5, 15, 17.5, and up to the maximum 20. So you can see at maximum mag the picture's starting to pixelate slightly, but it's still a good quality image. It's perfectly usable, and the colours are still work quite well on it. So we'll come out back down to 5 times, and then we'll go around the 4 buttons to see what they do. Now the top button, quick press of the top, goes through the colours of the reticle. So you see there yellow, green, red. So that's quite a nice feature because you can adjust the reticle colour on the fly so that it stands out. You know, you can pick a colour that stands out well against your background while you're shooting. If I use the right button, if you look up towards the top right of the screen, you'll see the brightness level. That's brightness 1, brightness 2, 3, 4, brightness 5. If I was to press it again, it would go back down to 1. So that's just the 5 levels. So you can see you can adjust the brightness on the fly as well without having to go in the menu. If I give the right hand button a long press, that will call up the picture in picture, which you'll see there. And because we're in digital mode, the picture in picture uses the same scope as the main screen. So we're showing digital daylight mode in the picture in picture as well as on the main screen, and it's giving you 2 times the main screen magnification. So because we're on 5 times mag, the pip screen showing us at 10 times mag. And just to show how that goes up, I will go up through the mag, and you'll see we go up to 20 times. The pip is now at 40 times. So we back down again. So it's turn picture in picture off. A short press doesn't do anything on the bottom button in this mode. It will just turn the video on and off with a long press. And then the left hand button, short press doesn't do anything, but if I press the left hand button, give it a long press, that would take us to night mode, digital night mode. And we'll talk a bit more about digital night mode later, because probably be best to demonstrate that when it's actually dark. So I'm going to give that a long press again, and that'll take us back to day mode. And now one final thing with this as well is, even though we're in digital mode, we can switch to thermal mode using the big red outline button on the side, on the left side of the scope. So if I give that a quick press, you'll see we'll switch over to, might help if I take the cap off the thermal scope, and there we go, we're in thermal mode. And but we'll deal with thermal mode in detail separately. So I give that another quick press in, and that goes back to daylight digital mode. So you can see that even though you're in digital mode in the menu, you can still switch to the thermal scope whenever you want to. Well, here you can see now total darkness on the daylight mode because the sun's gone down. So I'm going to give the left button a long press to bring up nighttime mode, and there we go, we're in nighttime mode. Now everything works exactly the same as far as the buttons are concerned as the daylight digital mode. So I can change the colour of the reticle with the up button. The only difference is now the short press of the left button will turn on the infrared torch. So if you look up to the top right hand corner, you can see it says IR, and then there's like 3 dotted bars with a cross. Because they're crossed across, that shows that it's off. So what I'm going to do is press the button once and it will come on. Now you can see the beam, it's quite a narrow beam. One thing I didn't point out on the features, there is an adjuster on the front of the IR torch. It's currently fully clockwise, which means that it's its narrowest setting. And if I sort of rotate that anti-clockwise, then it will widen the beam. So I'll take it out to its widest setting. That's its widest setting. And let's go up in brightness levels. There's 5 levels of brightness for the IR torch, but you can see here at 40 yards the first level is perfectly sufficient. So that's level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Okay, just one thing to note about the IR torch: if you put the scope into standby mode by a short press of the power button, I don't think it switches the IR torch off, because as soon as you come out of standby, the torch is still on. Torch does switch off if you switch the power off. So one thing to remember, if you're going to go in standby for a long period and you don't want to run your battery down, then you need to manually turn the level of the torch down or turn the torch off before you go in standby mode. So also with the side button, just quickly, I can press that and in thermal mode, so we can go backwards and forwards between thermal mode and nighttime mode. And I can of course do a long press of the right button to bring up picture in picture. So that's the night vision digital mode then. Okay, so now you can see from the menus that we're in thermal mode, so I'll come out of that. And for this section, I'm ably assisted by my dog Buzz, who's agreed to be the thermal contact in exchange for a load of dog treats. Don't worry about his safety, because the scope's not mounted on a rifle. I've actually got it mounted on a tripod, so there are no rifles involved in this section. So there we go. Then if you look up to the right hand side, you can see here same information as daylight mode. Only thing is, you'll notice a difference, that the minimum magnification for the thermal scope is 3 times, and what we do is I'll go up to 6 times, 9, 12, and 12 is the maximum. So you can still get enough definition in your contact to be able to identify what it is, but you should notice actually that because you've got a lower magnification, you've got a much wider depth of field for from the daylight mode, and that will be quite obvious in a second. So we'll go around the buttons again. They work very similar to the daylight mode. So the top, you can see, changes the colour of the reticle there, so you can change the colour of the reticle on the fly. The right hand button again adjusts the brightness between the 5 levels, and if I do a long press on that, it'll give me picture in picture at 2 times as well, both in thermal scope mode. So come out the picture on picture. The bottom button controls the recording, and in this instance the left hand button controls the colour palettes. So we're currently in white hot. If I press it again, we'll go to black hot, and then we've got iron hot, and then finally red hot, and then we're back to white hot. So that's all the controls for thermal mode. And again then, even though we're in thermal mode in the menu, if I press the big button, it will switch to daylight mode, and there's Buzz in all his glory. You can see the difference in the depth of field if I go back to thermal mode, and there we are. So that's the thermal mode. So the last of the 3 modes we need to look at is dual mode then, and as you can probably imagine from the name, it combines the 2 previous modes that we've looked at, the digital day-night mode and the thermal mode. And the way that it combines them is the picture in picture. So you can see here that we're in digital day mode. If I make a long press on the right button, then the picture in picture comes up, and you'll see that the picture in picture is showing thermal mode. And what I can do is switch between those 2, so I can turn the main screen into thermal mode and picture in picture into digital mode just by pressing that big button on the side, short press. You can see now that the main screen is thermal and the picture in picture is digital day mode. Now whatever mode is in the main screen will work exactly as I showed before. So while we've got thermal in the main screen, I can use the left button to change the palettes, and if I go back to digital mode, I can change the colour of the reticle. So everything else works the same. It's just that the side button just switches the main palette between digital mode and thermal mode. But you'll notice as well that in this mode the picture-in-picture is not magnified 2 times like it is in the individual modes. It retains its same magnification, if that's clear. Now one of the things that I've worked out here just by playing around with it, I've come across that's not mentioned in the manual, is what happens if you press the big button on the side for a long press rather than just a short press. So as we are here, if I do a short press it will switch between the two. Okay, if I press that button and hold it in, which I'm doing now, you'll see it switches the scope through to digital mode. Now if I go back in the menus, you see we're now in digital mode. So if I switch that back into dual mode, and we're now in dual mode thermal, so I'll come out the menus and I press the long press on the side, then it'll take us into thermal mode. There's no way going back to dual mode other than going through the menus, but it is a quick way to switch between the two. And we're back in dual mode. Okay, now it's time to check out how the zero function works. So you can see I've put the scope on the pick rail on my BRK Ghost. I must say, looks pretty tidy there. Set a target out 25 yards and we'll have a look, see how it works. Okay, so we're in the zeroing section of the menu then, and I'm going to aim at the red ball and take a shot. Now you can see that the pellet has gone up where I'm indicating with the cursor. Now what I have to do is centre the cursor where I was aiming and then short press about there, and short press the power button and it freezes the picture. And now what I can do is I can use the up down buttons to move the cursor to line, move the reticle to line up with where the shot actually landed. So I'm going to do that and then I'll be back to you. Okay, so there I've put the reticle where the shot actually landed, and what we're going to do now is I will long press the right button to save and exit, and then right button to come out of the menu, or to go back into the menu, and left button to come out of the menu. And now we'll load, take another shot and see where our pellet lands. Smack bang in the middle. There we go. So that was pretty easy, wasn't it? That seemed to work okay. Well, that's the zeroing setup. All we've got left to do now is look at the ballistic calculator and the 3 modes for the laser rangefinder. So let's crack on. Here we are then in the ballistic data settings for setting group A. You can see that I've put all the data in, the zero distance, the scope height, which is quite high on the Ghost, and I've measured that using the tin foil method, which is the correct way of measuring the sight height, not using a ruler, measuring from the centre of the barrel to the centre of the objective lens, which a lot of people will tell you that's not the right way. You need to use the tinfoil method. Got the muzzle velocity there, the calibre, the pellet weight, ballistic coefficient. I've used the manufacturer's ballistic coefficient, so we'll see how that goes. We might get a little bit of an error through that because it's not going to be perfect, but we'll see. Disregarded the bullet length. I don't think that makes much difference. I'm not sure about the temperature either. So there we go. Then that's the settings. We go back in. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure we turn the ballistic calculator off. It's on at the moment, so we're going to turn that off. Just check, yeah, because I just want to show you that you can actually use the laser rangefinder independently of the ballistic calculator. So here we are then, scope view with the ballistic calculator turned off, and I'm just going to use the button on the back of the LRF, just one press to turn it on, and you can see that's showing 26 yards. Oh, it's gone to 40 now. 26. Target of the rear, we want to zoom that as well. That's showing 41. So you can see that if your ballistic calculator is turned off, you can just use the LRF, one short press on the back to turn it on and start ranging, and then when you've ranged, press it again to turn it off. So it will work like just as a standalone laser rangefinder if you just wanted to know your ranges and you wanted to work out your own holdovers. So we're now back in the menus, and I'm going to turn the ballistic calculator on, which I've done now, and now we're going to come down and look at the aiming method. Right, we're going to look at the first one. We're going to set it to holdover. Now what that's going to do is when I laser the target, it's going to put a new aiming point on the reticle somewhere for me to aim at. So we'll come out of the menus, we'll load up. I'm going to shoot one shot at, just to make sure that I'm still zeroed in. Now I haven't tried this, so this is a first for me as well as it is for you. So we're going to zoom in a little bit on there. I'm going to aim at one of those black spots actually, I think, and see how we go with the zero. Oh, there we go. That hit it a little bit to the right, but it still hit it. Okay, so what we're going to do now then is I'm going to focus in on the distant target, which is well, we'll see what it is because I'm going to range find it again. So here we go, saying 41 yards. Click there, and you can see there that it's given us an aim point, that green square. It's actually giving us a hold under, which is interesting. I don't think that's going to be right, but we'll shoot it anyway. I would expect a holdover at that range, but we'll see where the pellet goes anyway, see what it does. Oh, it was right. Look, there you can see. If I zoom in a bit more, it's hit near enough in exactly the same place, just slightly to the right. Okay, so we've come back to our 25-yard target then, and I hit the rangefinder again. Yeah, it's going to put the cross right in the middle, because that's a zero range. So let's zero that in. We'll take another shot, shoot the other black dot. There you go, that's it right in the centre of it. I'll zoom in so you believe me. There you go. So that's the holdover method then. So we're back in the menus, and now I'm going to switch the aiming method to dial in. And this is the method that a lot of FT shooters and a lot of hunters will use, where once they know the range, they will adjust the elevation turret on their scope and actually dial in the change they need, so that they can continue to aim with the centre of the reticle. So what the ballistic calculator will do here is, once it ranges the distance, it will then actually move the reticle on the screen so that you can continue just using the reticle as it is to aim. So we'll come out of this method and we will see how it works. So what I'm going to do is load a pellet in first, and I'm going to range the short target, still showing 26 yards. Oh, it looks like the rangefinder wants to stay on for this one. So we're going to shoot at the red ball. So we hit that, and then we're going to come over to the distant target, the 40-yard one. Let's put another pellet in before we muck around with all this. Right, and then I'll range this again. And did you see the reticle move there? So what I should be able to do is just line up with the reticle again. There we go. You can see that our shot was on target there, and then I can come back out to previous target, get that in focus, range that, the reticle moved again, and what we'll do is reload, and the reticle then should have moved back in the correct position for the 25-yard target. What we're going to do is we're going to aim at the intersection there. There we go. Zoom in. So that actually worked quite well using the manufacturer's BC. Actually, it's not far out at all. It's, you can see that's spot on. So that's how the three different methods of using the LRF along with the ballistic calculator work, and it seems to work okay, doesn't it? Well, that's all the functions tested then. You've seen exactly what I've seen, so I guess now it's time to get back inside in the warm and talk about the pros and cons, and give you my view of what I think of this ThermNight. Couple of things to mention just before I do the pros and cons, the conclusions. First off, this thing is actually quite compact. It's a lot smaller than you think, even smaller than it looks on the video reviews. But that being said, there's still a bit of weight to it. I weighed this on my kitchen scales, and I got a weight of 832 grams, which is 1.8 pounds. Now, to put that into perspective, my MTC Connect, oh yeah, that was with the mount and the battery. To put that into perspective, my MTC Connect scope with a similar Picatinny mount comes in at 713 grams, which is 1.6 pounds. So as you can see, there is a little bit more weight to it than a traditional scope. The other thing that I haven't mentioned is that there is a phone app. I've not spent a great deal of time with it. From what I can see, there are three things that you can do with the phone app. The first one is that you can view what the scope is viewing in real time. I don't know why you'd want to do that. The second one is you can download all the videos from the scope onto your phone, but then you'd still then have to download them to your computer if you wanted to sort of manipulate them, unless I guess you're editing on your phone. And then the third one, you can create your ballistic information for your different pellets on your phone, and then send that information to the scope. You can't do it the other way around, so you can't store your scope settings onto your phone app, but you can send them from the phone to the scope. Something to be aware of, because if you do send them, and then obviously that overwrites what's on your scope. But one little benefit from that is that you can add a name. So where on the scope you've just got A to E, with the app you can add a little reference name like the name of the pellet or something, so that you've got so that it gives you a better indicator of what that ballistic group relates to. Let's talk about the cons then, and to be honest, I'm mostly nitpicking of what is a pretty good product. First off, I want to talk about the video. As you've probably noticed in the video footage that I've included in this review, you get the black bars up the side. It's a square image, it's not widescreen 16 by 9. It's actually an old style XGA format, which is 4 by 3. I don't know why they've chosen to do that, how difficult it is to increase that, but that's what you get. Also, the audio recording on the scope is not great. I found that the recording level, the default recording level, there's no adjustment possible. The default recording level is too high, and you do seem to get digital clipping, even if you try and sort of lower the volume of your voice. You can't really help it really. If you're looking through the scope and talking, you're that close to the scope. So I have had to sort of like do my best to try and adjust the audio to get it to a usable level so that it's not distorted and clipping on this review. So that's something to be aware of. So I think I mentioned at the beginning or somewhere else, there's no battery included and no battery charger. So you'd need to factor those in. As it's the same battery that's being used to run the scope and the torch, if you're going to be using the torch a lot, then battery's probably going to run down quite quickly. I haven't tested how long it lasts, but I would suggest that you'd need to buy at least a couple of batteries, yeah, and obviously the charger. There must be a small internal battery, because when you take the actual battery out that runs the unit, you don't lose your data. So there must be an internal battery that keeps the data running, so you don't have to worry about losing your settings every time you take the battery out. The next thing, gripe, you do get, it's not an Allen key, it's a T25 Torx key, okay, which is fine for the screws that attach the mount there, but to be honest, you know, they need to think about changing these mount screws from Torx. I mean, who uses Torx? Even an Allen key would be better than a Torx key. But, you know, the nice thing about Picatinny, having Picatinny, is that it's easy to move from rifle to rifle and then reset. So most of them have got these thumb screws on. Come on, DNT, put some thumb screws on your mounts so that it's easier to mount up. You know, the Torx head screws really are just a pain, you know, when all you've got is your little key that you give. Let's talk about the magnification then. As you can see from the review, the minimum magnification for the day-night scope, the digital scope, is 5 times, and for the thermal is 3 times. For close-in work like ratting, 5 times is probably a bridge too far. You know, you just don't get the depth of field that you need with that. It would be nice if they could go right down to 1 times, but yeah, I think the 5 times is not ideal, and even the 3 times on the thermal. If you could reduce that, then it gives you much better options for using the thermal part as a spotter. As you can see, the focus wheel on the front of the digital day-night scope is very small, so you know that tends to be very sensitive. I mean, it is very difficult to get a perfect focus. You have to adjust that all the time. Now, if you're just sort of using the scope for shooting, then the focus is not that important. If you're concerned about getting the best image in your video, then that's something to be aware of. I guess that can't be helped because of the size of it. Get into your videos then. There's no card. Say you can download the videos using the app to your phone, but if you want to use your computer, basically you've either got to take the scope off your rifle, which is not easy because obviously these Torx screws, if they had the thumb screws, it'd be great. And you've got to then plug it into your computer, so that's a bit of a bind. If you want to leave the scope on your rifle, you've got to sit your rifle on your desk where your PC is to download the videos. Also notice as well, it doesn't take pictures, but it does produce a thumbnail, which is, I think, is the first scene from every video. Why it produces a separate thumbnail image in the memory, I don't know, because that just takes up storage. I don't really see any benefit from that. And last but not least, a couple of little bits and couple of little bits with the manual. Still mentions in the manual about Bluetooth. I did get onto DNT because I couldn't find the Bluetooth setting in the menus, even though the manual said it's in there, and they've removed that, and I can understand why. The Wi-Fi works perfectly, so to communicate with the app, so you don't need to have Bluetooth option as well. But yeah, but then obviously then that reference needs to be removed from the manual. Also, I found that you know, a long press of the big button on the side has a particular functionality that's not mentioned at all in the manual, so that needs to be updated as well. So those are my little quibbles then. Don't think that that means that I don't like the unit. I must admit, I'm very impressed with it. I think it's a very good bit of kit, not least because of the price point. I mean, you know, entry level for something that does what it does, below £1,000, that's pretty spectacular. Yeah, it's definitely worth the money. Form factor, it's a nice compact unit. Everything is within easy reach. It's not got loads of extraneous features that you don't want, and that's one of the things that I think the you know, 10 out of 10 for the user interface. I mean, I'm sort of like prickly, sort of like technically minded and gizmo minded, and somebody has sat down and really thought about this and come up with a user interface that does exactly what it needs to do and no more. You know, they've hats off to whoever designed it. That part of it, it's really good. You know, you've got the minimum controls. Controls are well thought out. It's easy to learn. And just generally easy to use, you know, and quite intuitive to go from one system to another and to change the settings that you need to set. I guess until something else comes along, I can't see anything else that is a one fit solution. You know, I mean, if you're looking for a digital scope, even if at the moment you think that you might not need the thermal, you know, this is a one size fits all. You've got a bit of everything in here. You know, you'll buy this, a general sort of air gunner, even if you're not doing any pesting now, you know, thinking about doing pest control in the future. This is a one-stop shop. You know, buy this and you won't be wanting if you expand the shooting that you do. You know, you can use it on the range as a normal target scope, and you can go out daylight hunting and nighttime hunting with it. So yeah, really impressed with it. Good bit of kit, thoroughly recommend it. If you're interested in buying one, there is an affiliate link in the description. It's not going to cost you any more using that link, but if you do use it, I get a small amount of commission, which will help support the channel. Well, that's all from me on this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you found that interesting. Did try and sort of like, you know, do a review that covered things in a bit more depth than other people. And, you know, it's difficult when a product's been out for a while and you're late to the party. You've got to try and present something a bit new. Hopefully I've done it justice. And as I say, great bit of kit, really liked it. So hopefully see you on the next one. Bye for now.